Good evening, Namaskar. Another Wednesday, 7 p.m. Face to face show Mujit welcomes Sumit Agarwal. And after some time, we will know the journey of a fighter. And we will also know the turning point of a fighter. We will not tell much about Sumit Agarwal right now. I mean, the positive points. Let us start with the negative points. A child born with 70% cerebral palsy, a child born with almost no brain activity, and a child had four surgeries before he could walk properly. He could not walk. That is not the story. But he drew lessons from his journey, and right now he is a motivator, and that is the story of today. Right from 18th November 2020, we started this digital show, and this is another episode where a life journey of a fighter we will decode. So let's start the decoding session. Welcome Sumit Agarwal in this face-to-face show, Majid show.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
It's a
So
pleasure to be here.
welcome Shumit in this show. And Shumit will tell his own story, his plight, his agony of childhood memories. And that's the first question goes to Shumit, that how did you face the initial days of your childhood, your school days, your agony, your joyfulness, everything.
When I was born in 7 months, the doctor said either the child will survive or the mother will survive. Fortunately, both of us survived, but I'm not supposed to be alive today. And in such a young age, I had to face four major surgeries. And in such a young age, I had to realize the concept of mortality. People in their day to day lives forget that death is a possibility. And in such a young life, I had to realize that every time I entered the operation theater, it was a possibility that I might not come out alive. And when that happens, your life transforms in a manner which cannot be even said or understood by other people.
Yes. And
When I was young, I started my schooling. I looked different. I talked different. I walked different. So people said he is different. Let us exclude him because he is different. It- I tried so bad to fit in, but I could not. But after a point, I realized that being ordinary is something which is a curse. Being extraordinary is not a curse. Maybe I
right.
was born to be different.
That's a realization. That was the initial realization. And my second question goes to you. Uh, I think you will definitely tell yes very positively. What were your parents' role and your mother's role in the whole making Shumit Agarwal yesteryears and right now? What was the difference? How did your parents raised you as a fighter?
In 1992, when I was born in 1992, um, by the time when I started looking for schools, there were no laws regarding disability. Even if there were, they were not implemented properly. Right. The first PWD Act came into existence by 1995, and that time the act was not enforced. So I had to go through many rejections because of no fault of mine. Just imagine a 4-year-old child being rejected from every place that he goes to. without any single fault of his. And my mother was a very successful lawyer, and she decided to quit her career for my sake. And she decided that if my son has schooling, he will go through quote unquote normal schooling with other people. Otherwise, he will not go to school. So I was rejected from around 20, 25 schools, 30 schools, and my mother still did not give up. She said he will go to a normal school. He will not be labeled as special because this special word really does not hold any connotation. And if you look at it that way, everybody is special. Why brand a certain person special and exclude him from the society in a segregated manner? So my mother had a great role to play in terms of my education, and that I be educated in a quote unquote normal manner. And that gave me the strength and ability to fight my own battles afterwards in life.
Right. You are exactly to the point. And if I ask you, what was the turning point? I know it is very difficult because you have so many points in your mind that this could be the turning points of Shumit Agarwal's journey. So if you ask you that list out two, three, or four points which you consider as turning points of your life journey, what are those points, bullet points?
See, my first turning point was when I did my education and I was looking for jobs. I was rejected, right? I was rejected, and I did not know what are the opportunities that is available. I was rejected by the companies again on the basis of my disability. They said you are an MBA in marketing and you cannot travel, you cannot work. So I never thought I could become an entrepreneur, right? And becoming an entrepreneur is definitely a turning point because entrepreneurship gives you the power in your own hands to decide who you work with and who you don't work with, and it also decides your ability to how much you will charge, who you will work with, and what kind of career you want to foray in, which is not an option when you are working somewhere. So that is one. Second is definitely getting into PRS. I gave me the opportunity to, first, my first time I spoke on the stage on PRSI, and maybe a lot of people are not aware the 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 honorable host of this show was a great asset in shaping my life, so that making me realize that I could speak, and I my story is worth sharing and other people can be inspired. That is something which the host of this show has taught me.
So, broadly, now if I show you a little bit of, I think, unconventional things, could you read this thing, what it is written here?
Discovery.
Yeah. So
And
how do you find this word appropriate in your life, or you like or dislike this particular word? How do you define it?
see, again, getting back to my childhood days, right? If I associate the word discovery, I would associate it with mortality. Mortality shows that you have a finite amount of time in your life, and no matter what you do, at one time, your time in this planet will be over, and that time nobody is going to check how much balance you have had in your bank account. People are going to check that what impact did you create in the lives of other people. So that is what it made me realize. Discovery is something when you realize that you have a purpose in the life, and this purpose is not only centered around yourself, but to help other people.
Right.
Something which I have learned and inculcated from you, that it needs to be in such a manner that we touch other people's lives and hearts in such a fashion that we create more leaders, not followers.
Thank you, Shumit, for your realization because you have just overcome your disability, and you are referring to PWT Act in India. So I know it's a very controversial subject because wherever you go, you don't find accessibility in several buildings, malls, cinema halls, airports, and other things. Recently, we just read one story, Shudha Chandran. She has to show that, that famous story, and the government has already in the process of bringing out some legislation so that no such Shudha Chandran case is being faced at the airport. So, how do you see this PWT Act? Maybe it's good, but the implementation and the realization of the people who will just implement it, how do you see this thing, PWT, in India? And
See,
that too, yes, please.
when we talk about PWDs, we have to realize that the 2016 Act of PWD Act, which is now in place, recognized 21 types of disabilities. That includes people with leprosy and people who are acid attack victims as well. Right? Now, when we talk about accessibility, right, people who are visually impaired might have different kind of accessibility where they need hearing mechanisms in place to guide them, in different directions of the building. People who are not able to hear might need signboards to, guide them to certain sections of the floor. And people who are not physically able might need ramps in the building. So even if a building has ramp, which 80% of the buildings in India do not have, sadly, there needs to be a holistic accessibility. A building cannot be holistically accessible unless it considers all 21 types of disabilities, not just building ramps. Building ramps is just the starting step.
Right. So, do you find any such accessible buildings or ramps or monuments here in West Bengal?
Sadly, I do
Oh,
not.
acha.
Sadly, I do not find any accessible buildings. I have traveled to all the event venues, attending different events for different organizations, and I haven't seen any accessible venue. I had to climb up stairs. Even if it was three stairs, I had to get up those three
Right.
stairs. What
So,
if somebody is completely in a wheelchair and cannot even get up those three stairs in the starting to get to the elevator?
yes, that same thing happened when I was going to renew my passport. I saw one old aged lady. It was the back of the passport office, and she has to do the same thing what you are telling right now. So, after Shumit Agarwal, you write that ambassador of the causes diversity and inclusion. How do you see that you are doing right for this cause ambassadorship? How do you take it forward, this
So,
cause
so I
ambassador?
represent different organizations in terms of diversity and inclusion, and I am officially their appointed ambassador. And I think the first step, which I am definitely doing, is to build up awareness. The key in the PWD sector is there are rules and there are laws which exist in terms of accessibility, in terms of employment, in terms of employment pensions, in terms of taxes, in various forms there are many laws. Even in terms of health insurance, there's a special insurance for person with disabilities. So and a lot of people are not aware of these. So what I do is basically awareness. I go and speak to different organizations about all the schemes that are available and how they can take advantage of all these schemes, and what is exactly the procedure to achieve what they are trying to achieve.
I understand. So you are taking this cause very seriously, and you will definitely take it forward in future so that the laws, the acts which are there, people are not aware. Those are reaching the terminal ends. The blind people, you are just referring that building is not the 21 causes, 21 disability causes are there. So people should know what are the facilities available under the law and what are the government, central government or state government are granting them. So they should be aware that awareness building you are doing. So that's very
what
good to
most people what most people do not know is disability is a state subject, which
yes.
means that central government can only create guidelines, and there are different policies for persons with disabilities in every different state. So every state has different policies. It is not similar.
Right. So our government has different, Tamil Nadu government has different, then Maharashtra government has different policy because it's a state subject. So let's see, because this movement has been started by so many people, and I'm not referring any name here. There are other ambassadors also in Kolkata, those who started this thing much earlier than you. But whenever I came to you, I always inspired you that you please take up the cause. Don't think that uh, you are a negative person. You take advantage of your disability and take it forward. And you only introduced me to Sam, and that's a big story. And I think one day you will also be another Sam of India and our Southeast Asia and among the Asian countries and also in the whole universe. But my question, that why did you did this MBA? Was it just under the pressure of your parents, or just you started your BBA, MBA, and suddenly you did not find any interest? You did not find any jobs. They rejected you. And you just changed your track. You became interested in peer discipline. Just let's know the story.
So there's a psychology behind my doing MBA, right? A lot of people think that persons with disabilities cannot be educated, right? They cannot have formal education because they are not able to cope up with the pressure and the curriculum that goes on in the higher education in terms of Indian syllabus, right? And I wanted to somehow break that myth that persons with disabilities cannot be educated or cannot have higher education. Getting a job was definitely one of the goals, but that wasn't the only goal. My goal was to sort of show other people that even persons with disabilities can cope up with normal curriculum. And although I don't agree with the evaluation method of the education system through marks, but that is somewhat I wanted to prove it, and I got a 9.05 CGPA in my university, which is one of the highest CGPAs. So that I wanted to prove that even if you have a disability, you can get through the formal education system. Whether that helps you or not is a totally different topic on at all.
So if I interrupt you, you made their belief wrong. That was your sole objective. That whether I can walk, that's not the criteria. My intellect is at par with the people, with the other students who can walk, who can just you consider people considered as a normal human being. So people considered you as a different, but you made the difference. You made people believe that you are not different. You can do anything what you desire.
There
So
is
before
a,
we
there
go
is
our
a,
next question, we will take a short break of 20 seconds and we will come to this show. The turning point of a fighter. Fighter here is Sumit Agarwal. Namaskar. Show Mujit welcomes you to Face Show Mujit. If you like our show, please visit Face Show Mujit, like it and share it. Also, subscribe our YouTube channel iCommunications. Press the bell icon to get instant notifications. Could you see this, Shumit?
yes,
What is
failure.
it? Do you like this word, failure, or you like this word, success?
I like failures more than success, yes, but it depends on what failures are. Because see, if you talk about failures, there's a different connotation of failure to every different person, right? For example, a lot of people define my challenges for me, right? And they said, you should try to walk, otherwise you will not be able to do anything. You should definitely try to walk. So I had this in my mind. Am I only defined by my ability to walk? What if I want to pursue other goals? Do I have to be defined only by my disability? Do I have to try only to walk? Why can't I have other dreams? Like, why is a person who's on a wheelchair constantly said that you have to try to get up and walk, and then only you will be able to achieve other dreams and other things? So any person, I think, if a person is visually impaired, he or she should not be told that you first get a surgery, then you are able to do any other thing. I don't think the challenges of any person should be defined for that person. So if even if I am a failure in the eyes of the society, I might be successful in my own eyes.
Fantastic. You define the things. You are. I find that you are matured. You can now diplomatically handle any questions. You can now diplomatically place the subjects, and that is the thing. You are. That's maturity is coming. I remember that people will not believe, but I saw, I heard you. Just with my own ears, I saw with my own eyes that you are that person. You did not have the belief that you can perform. You are another person today that you have the belief that I can do any damn thing. And if I am given scope, I can do. If I am not given scope, I will create the scope for myself. That is your life motto right now. What I perceive from your life journey that you are in this show. I do not know whether I'm wrong or right. You can just correct me, Shumit.
So when I first started speaking, and the first opportunity for me to speak on a stage was given by you. I don't know if you remember or not. So that time I had an inferiority complex, and I used to think that people are looking at me. That means they are looking at my disability, and I don't know what thoughts are going on in their minds right now. At at the stage I am at, I don't really care about what people think and what goes on in their minds, because today I know what I am and how much effort I have put in to be at the place I am. And I think I can make the world a better place for other people as well.
Right, right. You are a policymaker, Shumit Agarwal. You are the social, I mean, you are in the central government as a minister. It's hypothetical question, and you are given full freedom of creating or implementing the laws as per your desire, because you are also a disabled person according to you, not disabled mentally, not disabled anywhere, but by birth somebody labeled you as a different person. So, what will be your first two, three, four reforms that you would like to do as a central minister? Hypothetically, you was a central minister of Ministry of Social Justice in Government of India. That is your role for the next 2 minutes.
So one of the key things is participation of stakeholders, right? When all these policies are taken into account by the ministry, yeah, I think the NGOs and the people who are working in the field should be a part of the decision making process because they understand it better. Number two is there should be a portal designed for complaints, which should be accessible by parents of persons with disabilities. Because when we talk about disabilities, we often ignore the caretakers. Caretaking of a person with a disability is a full-time job, and that takes a lot of mental strain on the caretakers as well. This section of the society is ignored by the ministry. The third point is if buildings are designed with accessibility in mind, they improve India's accessible SDG index in the United Nations. So I think all the buildings should be made with accessibility in mind. If they even start with a small ramp, which practically costs nothing, if you look at buildings, if you build a small ramp where people can use a wheelchair, and that costs nothing almost. So these small steps need to be taken, and there needs to be a vernacular communication as well of the different policies, because a lot of percentage in India right now do not know English. Only 12% of the Indian population know how to communicate or write in English. So what happens to the vernacular population, vernacular speaking population? Most of the persons with disabilities are in the villages, in the rural areas. If we talk about urban accessibility, we have to make the villages accessible also, right? They don't have proper roads, they don't have proper infrastructure in place, they don't even have proper wheelchairs or proper equipment. So these things need to be taken care of. If these things are taken care of, there is a lot that a person with a disability can bring to the table. There was a survey done by a company recently, and it said that since we are excluding 15% of the population of the world which is disabled from the workforce, we are losing out billions of dollars every year because they are not able to contribute to the GDP of their respective countries.
Right. In this context, if I ask you, if you do not have any embargo, you can update us with the recent statistics. Who are the major players in India who gives full attention as a multinational company or the Indian corporate to this disability cause, or as you were telling us holistically, that they do something, they do employ people, they do create awareness. So, do you recall
There
any
are
big
there
names?
are a there are a lot of companies, Fortune 500 companies specifically, who are taking up the cause under diversity and inclusion. Diversity and inclusion does not include only disability; it includes racial issues as well as gender issues, as well as LGBTQ issues. So, under diversity and inclusion, companies are speaking of the issue. Who US and UK have, fully explored the market. It's a billion-dollar market in US, and it's picking up in other developing countries as well. If you look at companies like KPMG, companies like Lemon Tree Hotels, companies like ITC, they are doing a lot. If you look at companies like Tata, they are doing a lot in India, but there needs to be more companies. I cannot just name a few companies and expect that they will pick up the battle and do everything in terms of persons with disabilities. Even Reliance is doing a lot, but I would be happy when I cannot name the companies in my hands or in my fingers, because I would then say that everybody is doing it. I don't have to name any company particularly.
I see. Definitely. Currently, you are associated with several Indian organizations who considered you that you can create some ecosystem for them among the society. So, can you please tell what you do there? What is your role play there?
So one of the associations that I'm associated with is, New Jersey-based organization which deals with staffing and hiring of persons with disabilities in Fortune 500 companies. And what I do for different organizations is amplify their voices on social media and help them identify the right kind of people they should reach to create an impact. Design strategic groundwork so that they could identify the right kind of audiences and amplify their message and be heard and communicate more clearly through textual and video content.
Right. It's, uh, you are a motivational speaker. You inspire people right now. Earlier, you used to attend conferences, meetings to keep yourself motivated. But through your work, through your wisdom, through your thinking, now you are motivating people, you are inspiring people. What are the key words you pronounce there? What catches the mind attention of the people and getting inspired and motivated?
See, I never wanted to be a motivational speaker and I never wanted to inspire people because, see, when it comes to persons with disabilities in general, right, people tend to show them as positive hope to everybody else. Like, if he can do it, why can't you do it? Why would I be used as an example that if he can means people thought that I won't be able to do it. That is why persons with disabilities are always shown as motivational objects, which is again a barrier to equality. If you keep treating a person with a disability as a motivational object, then what happens is equality does not come. Like you glorify their struggles, which in turn does a negative effect on because if you glorify the struggle of a person with a disability, what happens is even if they do some small task, people say very good, very good, very good. But if they are supposed to be normal, normal as the rest of the society, their struggle should not be glorified because they are doing their to the best of ability with their given body, right, with their limitations, and that should not be glorified. I think that should be treated as normal. Coming back to the sharing my story on stage, I think what makes my story so relatable is my vulnerability, and I tell people that vulnerability is not a weakness. Today's generation, especially generations that after 2000, people born after 2000, are very scared or skeptical of asking for help. They think is that asking for help is a weakness, is a sign of weakness. But I have had so many wonderful mentors along with me through my journey. You have always guided me and mentored me in different manner. I have never become shy of asking people for help. If I need help, I ask for help, and vulnerability is a sign of strength. That is what people must realize. That is what my message is, and I believe that if you ask for help, you are a greater person.
Right. So it's a kind of realization that gave you inner strength. Do you meditate, Sumit?
I do not.
You do not. So now there is a rapid fire for you. Do you eat apple?
I do.
You do. Do you see cricket match?
I don't.
You don't. Do you like to travel in rail or air?
Air.
That's good. And we have been listening the life journey of Sumit Agarwal, and he has his own perception, own belief, and that made him very straightforward. And that is the thing, strength of the show, face to face. And he brought him to the actual height of this face to face show. I do not know how you enjoyed the straight talk with me in face to face show. When we started in 18th November 2020, I was also not knowing what is going to happen. And after weeks, several weeks, the show direction is taking a different turn. Sometimes it is cultural. And this is for the first time when getting a person of Shumit's caliber who can straight away talk and who can just have contact, eye contact, and tell before your face that happen in face to face. So that's a beautiful delivery of Shumit Agarwal. And years to come, months to come, days to come, weeks to come, minutes to come, and seconds to come. Every second is a learning second of everyone. And that Shumit told us in his brief interview. And every good thing is having an end, and we will have to close our curtain for today's. And I hope that our audience will definitely get some ideas and they will also serve for this cause. But before we sign up from this show, we will virtually hand over one honor to Shumit Agarwal. I will request our team to please show the virtual honor on the screen and to request Shumit to accept it. So I think, Shumit, you enjoyed the show, and request our audience to tune for the next Wednesday, 7 p.m. for a brilliant show. We are not disclosing the name of the guest, and I request everyone to please encourage us so that we can do better shows in future. Thank you once again to Shumit for coming over to this face-to-face show Mojit show. Thank you, Shumit.
My pleasure.
Namaskar, Show Mujit welcomes you to Face Show Mujit. If you like our show, please visit Face Show Mujit, like it and share it. Also, subscribe our YouTube channel iCommunications. Press the bell icon to get instant notifications.